Hello, and welcome to Raider HQ After Dark. I'm your host, Raider. And in this video, I wanted to do two things. I wanted to, number one, test out my new recording software. And number two, I wanted to discuss case law. I wanted to come back to it and I wanted to just discuss it maybe from a different perspective to help the individuals understand my perspective on it and kind of how there seems to be a disconnect here. And the thing that I'd like to talk about in terms of case law is that case law is the domain of judges. Case law is the domain of attorneys. And I will just let you know that the majority, uh, overwhelming majority of VA employees that work in the VSC that touch your claim, the DROs, the raters, the VSRs, the authorizers, and promulgators, none of them, okay, almost none of them. I think I met one, but almost none of them are attorneys in any way, shape, or form. Okay. And not to like I don't want to sound like an elitist or anything like that, but there is a significant number of raters. I'm just going to focus on raters because that's kind of what we care about, the people who adjudicate your claim. A significant number of raters only have their high school diploma and or their GED. Like I used to sit next to somebody that had their GED. They were a good rater, but like the level of education, okay, that is required for the job is used in lieu of. So you can be a person who started out like as a GS3, work your way up through the system, become a GS4, GS5, GS6, GS7. And once you work your way up, you can transition over to being a VSR. And then once you're a VSR, then you can become a rater. At no point in time do you gain any specialized skills that would help you understand the intricacies of applying case law, right? There's a reason why attorneys need to pass the bar, right? There is a significant reason for that, okay? So, I just want to address this because I think it is an unreasonable expectation to believe that your VA employee that is working your claim is reading the case law. I don't read case law and I have a master's degree. It isn't in law, though. I can tell you that right now. I only know one person. I've only known one person from one RO that had a law degree, right? And it didn't serve them well in the job, mind you, because they weren't interpreting case law. They're interpreting the M21 manual. Now, the M21 manual is literally a dumbed down interpretation by the VA itself to tell people who have no functional and working understanding of how the law works exactly what to do. It is what to do. That is why our quality reviews are focused exclusively around it and to some extent the 38 CFR, right? Is you either did the thing that you were told to do or you didn't do the thing that you were told to do. And in situations where the rater gets to make a choice on something, as long as they can point to some evidence, that choice is beyond reproach. Now, a DRO can sometimes do a difference of opinion based upon it, but that's just based upon the hierarchy of the job, right? Like I'm above you, so I can overturn a lower review, a lower opinion. Because when a rater gets to make a choice like that, it's their opinion. But it does not come from a legal background. I mean, there is nobody that is working at the VSC for the most part, maybe one or two, maybe less than 10, you know, that are going back and they're looking through case law and they're comparing case law, right? If that was the way this worked, then we would not need an extensive breakdown on what liberalizing law is, right? Because all the VSC would know about it because they'd be able to interpret the law. And I'm not trying to pick on the people that bring this up periodically. That's not my point on this. I just I'd rather address it as a whole than to address it in each individual comment because it is not something that we look at. We do not look at the case law. We don't care about the case law. Like I personally When somebody mentions a case law, I got to go look it up because I've never read it before. And I read a lot of things, but I was told up front, and it has been reinforced time and time again, that if you cite the case law as a defense for something that you did, you will get an error. And that is the way the system works. You can't keep waving case law around like it's going to do anything. Now, you can take that case law and you can look in the M21 manual and you can see, okay, what is it that is currently, in the manual related to this case law? How does it tell the employee how they should do this job? Because for your higher level reviews, that's whenever it reports, was the law regulation followed, right? Was it followed? If so, cool. If not, then yes, we will do a higher level review and take some action. If you're not in the manual and you're not reviewing how the employee should have interpreted the case law or the 38 CFR or whatever we're talking about, then you're not doing yourself any favors. You are not going to win your case unless the evidence, right? The DRO goes and looks at your evidence and says, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to look in the M21. Oh, it just so happens, happy accident that your situation matches, what should have been done. Like, oh, yeah, the raider did do the wrong thing." So I just I wanted to kind of bring it up. This is going to be a short video today, but I just wanted to bring it up because do you want your person with do you want me? Okay. Yes, I have a master's degree, a few bachelor's degrees, but none of them are in law. Do you want me poking around in case law doing my own personal interpretation of it? Or do you want me following rules and regulations that you can cite and stay out of my own opinion? I'm going to hope that you want the latter because it is, I mean, you give raiders the the minimal amount of authority to make their own decision, like let's say on private DBQs, you get a wide variety of outcomes, okay? Because people that don't have the education to interpret something, that start interpreting something, well, it's the Wild West, right? I have a medical background. So whenever I review medical things, I don't do it the same way as the person that has the high school diploma that's, never done anything medical, or the person with a bachelor's degree that's never done anything medical, right? Like they're the M21 manual is what you should be in 100% of the time, and you should be familiarizing yourself with it. It changes daily. The interpretations change daily. So, even when you have a situation to where you're doing a higher level review, like the onus is on you to go back in time and look to see what was true at that time in the M21 because it changes so frequently. Like that's another tip. I'm turning it into a tip video. I'm mostly just testing out my recording software, but I you have to be mindful of the process, right? And if you just call out the fact that it wasn't applied, I've shown in a couple videos where, oh, well, you had to take that into consideration. Oh, but there's also like a test to see if the person's a reliable reporter. Like there are circumstances that are built into the manual that I don't know who writes the manual per se. I know, like I think Big VA does, but whoever's writing the manual, it's whatever their disposition is that as to how it is interpreted. That's how we get like the peripheral nerves. And when the peripheral nerves are reviewed, the rater has to follow what the M21 manual says, and we can't go off of what the DBQ says. For severe, we have to go based upon strength and based upon reflexes for VA purposes. Now, this is me doing the air quotes again, but the for VA purposes, that is the M21 manual. So, unless you wish to be a victim of the M21, of the for VA purposes, you've got to get into the M21 manual. You can't sit there and just keep citing case law. It's like citing the raw Constitution when there are amendments, right? Like and saying, well, it's not true because the raw Constitution says this. Yeah, but there was an amendment to it. Okay, we have to follow the amendment because it's the most recent update to it. It's how it should be interpreted. And I don't know. So I know I'm kind of ranting about this, but and I'm not upset about it. Like I'm fine debating the topic with individuals. I'm fine with that. Like it's not a problem. But it actually hurts my heart a little bit because this is the reality doesn't match the perception. Like your perception of how the process works doesn't match the reality. And it's freaking me out a little bit because I seem to be the canary in the coal mine when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I mean, every single day, how many veterans are frustrated because they're like the case law. Okay, but there had to be a reason why it wasn't applied. And you got to figure out what that is. Like if you're going to effectively appeal any negative outcome that you have, this includes, general service connection. They propose to sever you for some reason. You have to go in and figure out the exact reason why they're doing it so you can fight the technicalities of it. Were all the rules and regulations reviewed correctly? Was my private DBQ deemed insufficient within the rules and regulations? If not, please apply it the way it was intended to. Because I don't know, guys. I'm just kind of once again I'm trying to get the feel of my recording software while also ranting, but that's about all I got for you right now on this topic. There's no manual references. There's nothing like that. I'm just kind of putting it out there. I saw a comment today and I tried to answer it, and I felt like the written word is not, you can get a lot of misunderstandings in the written word. So I wanted to put a video out and just, kind of broach the subject while also trying to inform the general veteran population that it's not a law firm. The VA is not a law firm. These are just average people with a wide swath of educational, considerations that need to be, accounted for when you're trying to say like what's the lowest common denominator that the VA has to educate to? High school diploma, GED. So when they teach us how to do this job, they have to teach it all the way down to the high school and GED level. So it's not it's not what you think it is, I guess, is how I'm going to go with this. Um, but yeah. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for listening. If you did, my migraine has resolved. Thank you so much. Better living through chemistry. And that's about all I got for you. I kind of put a future date on my live stream. I'm going to be using this software and it seems to be better for live streaming. I'm probably not going to use this software for general recording because even though you can kind of see me talking on the screen with the thingamajigger there, but it's a little bit more clunky for just recording. I don't know. But anyway, I'd like to thank you. If you did listen till the end, I thank you so much. I'd like to thank all the members who have supported the channel. Wow, we've crested 50 members so far, and I appreciate that more than you know. Everyone that likes and subscribes, you guys are awesome. I appreciate it. And if you want to, you can share this content with other veterans, so that way we can maybe have a larger and more healthy debate about things. Like if you want to know about stuff, I'm open to even doing video requests and whatnot. So anyway, that's about all I got for you right now. Raider out.